Hey, what is up guys, I'm Xteria, and in this video, I'm gonna give you guys all the information you will need to climb in your rank ladder before the new patch comes in. Just my last stream, I dominated pretty hard, and I feel like I got the tech down. The rules that I follow is, if I'm playing AP, I always build Voice Staff. If I'm playing AD, I always build Even Shroud and IE. And 90% of my games, I always play from a win streak perspective. Getting right into it, our first comp we're gonna be talking about is the Volibear, Edgelord, and Luchador style. In order to play this comp, yes, you need a 5 cost unit, but it's okay, because you can pivot instead of using Braum. You can use a +1 Bastion like Leona or whatever you can find. Then you can just play this whole board. The concept is you have to BIS Volibear no matter what, meaning best in slot. So if you don't have Edge Knight, Strikers, and IE, this comp will not work. Essentially, it's like the Kasante comp, and you always have to have Even Shroud on the board. You have some sort of armor penetration for Volibear to do damage, and this kind of positioning is important. This allows it to where if Yasuo walks up here, Volibear wants to target the unit over here, but because he can't, he would jump to the side and just slam them. And there is a specific fruit you want for him to one-shot people with. But before I show that, the two units I fruit most of the time is Volibear always as my main carry and Mundo as my main tank. Until I find Braum level 2, then I transfer the tank items over and put the fruit in him. And then for my level 9 unit, it could be either a second level 2 volley with Samira items into him, or it would be a Zyra because you get a +1 frontline as well, or backline, whichever one you want to use it as. Sometimes if I want to upgrade the Yasuo into a Yone, you can do that because you don't really need the attack speed mentor. It's okay on Volibear, it's not the best, but only pivot if you have a level 2 Yone in your bench. If not, it's better just to stick with Yasuo for the extra stat. And when you're building this board, the items you want to look for is, yes, BISing your Volibear, extra items over to Samira with 80 items, and then tank items either on Mundo or Braum. If you have emblem, say for example, Luchador emblem, then you can put it on your secondary carry, which will be like Samira or something. Then you can take out Gnar and have +1 unit like Zyra at level 8. And let me take his Volibear out so you can see 8 units. Or you can find whatever +1 unit you can find, like for example, another Edgelord unit like Xayah. And then when you hit level 9, then you just throw one more Edgelord, which is Yone. So now you have 6 Edgelord instead of 4 on the board. Say for example, you have Edgelord emblem instead, you can just put it on Braum. And instead of using Xayah, then you can keep back your Gnar to have 4 Luchador still, since you're not going to have this Luchador emblem. And this is also fine as well. So basically, emblems make you play 6 Edgelord. If not, then you're down to play 4 Edgelord, +1 Zyra, or +1 Volibear 2, or even +1 Braum 2. Either one is fine. The fruit you always want on Volibear is Serious Slam. If you want to guarantee this fruit, put the fruit on Darius first, pick whatever is on him, sell him, then put fruit on Volibear. If you still can't get Serious Slam on him, remove it and put it on, rinse and repeat until you find Serious Slam. And then for your second fruit on your tank, never put Unstoppable on Mundo, because this will make your pathing really weird, so it doesn't make Volibear jump majority of the time, because you need that jump for him to one-shot people. Instead, you can look for any other fruit, like for example, Resistant is fine, because it will just make Mundo basically unkillable, since he will take reduced damage. Or to have basically extra frontline, round 2 is also fine. Unless you do not have Sunder on the board, Corrosive will be the way to go. So basically, just pick Corrosive if you don't have Even Shroud. If you do have it, just pick whatever tank ones you can find. And then Braum is kind of the same thing. Just pick whatever you think looks cool. For you openers, the one I like to do is Gnar with a Sivir and a Mundo with +1 Juggernaut like Aatrox. This opener is pretty strong. This will win you a lot of rounds. And the first item slams you want to do is either Sunfire or Even Shroud, so you can keep winning rounds with. For Gnar's case, is either IE or Guardbreaker. These two items are really strong to win rounds with as well in the early game. If you want to look for different type of openers, what you can do is Neferi and Callista. From here, you can put whatever you want. You could do like Katarina and then Aatrox. This also works as well. And the tip I can give here is if you have Neferi too, you can do Edge of Night if this is your first item. You can do that on her. And hopefully maybe you can put like IE or Guardbreaker. This would be fine as well with Edge of Night and Guardbreaker. Either one's fine. Unless you want to put IE on your backline first, that's fine to do as your first item slam. Then you can just put it on Callista. It's just as long as you can win streak, whatever board works. The last opener I can show here is GP opener, because this will give you a lot of econ. And same thing like Neferi, you can build whatever with like Edge of Night or IE, so you can start farming a lot of people. And then just throw out an Aatrox and a Lucian, so you can have mech on the board, so you can protect this GP so he doesn't die. And then your fourth unit is going to be a KO or whatever duelist you can find, so you can have a lot of stats on the board for GP. If not, you can do something even better. If you high roll it, Udyr would be very powerful for this board, and you'll be win streaking all of stage 2. So yeah, it's basically do whatever opener you can to win, and then play up to the Volibear board that you see here. The other comp I do play that uses the same exact item as Volibear is Kasante. I only play this board unless I high roll Kasante too, because you can guarantee Akali too, since no one uses her unless they're also playing Kasante. Since Kasante is very contested with like almost 3 different comps, he is going to be very hard to play as a carry. But if I can get him level 2 first before Volibear, I will force this comp. In order to play this board is all the units you see here, And the main takeaway of this comp is all you need on Akali is just anti-heal, like Merlicon or Red Buff. Then whatever AP item, the best one's Archangel Staff for Akali, but you can do Death Cap, that's also okay. And then +1 sustain item like Edge of Night, Bloodthirster Hodge, either one's fine. And Kasante, you have to build these items no matter what. You have to force leftover 80 items on Varus. If you can't find Varus, you can use like Jhin or something as a +1 Wraith unit. And then your level 9 unit is going to be a Jinx because you get Sniper with your Jhin or upgrade into a Varus. And this is basically about it when you hit level 9. Or if you high roll it, you can play 2 level 2 Kasantes. That's also great. Or 2 level 2 J-Force for impact. I would say 2 level 2 Akalis isn't really worth it because it's not that strong and it doesn't really do much. So I would rather have an extra level 2 Kasante or Jinx for Sniper in the background. And you may notice that I put Rise in the front. The main reason why I do that is because this unit is useless. Like Strategist gives you shield, and that shield works on Rise in the front line as well. If you put the units in the back line, they gain damage. That's the reason why you put Kasante in the second row, because he gains more damage amp, and then the units in the front gain shields. If you really want Rise to do damage, then I guess you could put him in the back, but then the problem is you have this weird Akali positioning, because you want to put Akali either here or here, so you can target the backline corners. Therefore, I put Rise in the front because I can swap it pretty easily, since you need to protect Akali a little bit with having a unit next to her on the edge. And this position for Kasante is very important. You can swap either here or here, because this allows you to potentially jump the backline if they position a certain way, which I'm not really going to explain because it's too much to talk about. But yeah, you have a chance to jump the backline if you position like this or like this on Kasante. The fruit you always want to force no matter what is all out. If you want to guarantee it, put a fruit on either any tank that is Bastion, like for example, Leona, Rel, or Xin Zhao or something like that. Pick whatever you want to put the fruit on them, sell that unit, put the fruit on Kasante. If you still don't find all out, remove the fruit, then put fruit back on Kasante until you find all out. So rinse and repeat till you find it. The best fruit I can say you put on Kali is Himmerich. This allows you to do lots of damage on Akali, and she can probably kill the backline with it. So if you want to put a really powerful fruit on Akali, this one will be the best one. Or any other AP one is okay. Sometimes I take Blink Attack on Akali, but all the time, I always take Himmerich on Akali. For your opener, it's going to be the same exact thing as Volibear. Just play your best opener until you can get to this point. The next part we're going to be talking about here is Yuumi Prodigy. Basically, the concept is you want to play debuff items on Malzahar, like Voice Staff and Morello. And these two items are items that you should prioritize like 100% of your games. You always need Voice Staff no matter what. Yes, technically you can build Onyx Spark as a front line, but in all honesty, it sucks as a tank item. So therefore, always get Voice Staff no matter what. Even if you could build Adaptive or Blue Buff, who cares? Just build Voice Staff, you win game. And I would say the trick here is if you have 80 items like leftovers such as Edge of Night and IE, then you can play all out Kasante instead of putting tank fruit on Leona, since you mainly want to put fruit on Yuumi like 90% of your games. But you can just put all out Kasante and he'll do work with this board overall. Unless you don't have 80 items, like these gloves is fine on him, or any other leftover tank items is also great on Kasante. Either one is fine. But when you're building up for this board, most of the time I always build this as my BIS on Yuumi. I always build Gunblade, I always build Voice Staff, and I always have Morellicon on the board no matter what. Then I just build whatever leftover AP items I can. For example, Adaptive, or if I can't do that, Jewel Gauntlet is fine, or even Death Cap is fine. And if with some weird components, sometimes I might have like a Nashor's Tooth on Malzahar, depending on the components. And then when you hit level 9, you want to throw out Seraphine, so you have 5 Prodigy. That's basically about it. It's pretty easy to play this comp. But if you have emblems, for example, like Prodigy, I put it on Kasante always because he actually works really well with this fruit on him. So that means I can take away Seraphine. If I could have 5 Prodigy, I never use Seraphine because she is useless. Syndra is the GOAT. Same with Ezreal, since Ezreal is a Academia unit with Yuumi, you kind of need to have him no matter what. But Syndra is just super good, and Seraphine is useless. So if I can avoid using her, I would avoid at all costs. But if you have Academia emblem, then I would say get rid of Rakan and throw out a Nico. That's fine because you also get Star Guardian with Syndra, and Nico is a really good tank. Then when you hit level 9, you can also throw out Seraphine. Unless for whatever reason you have both the emblems, Prodigy and Academia, then you just get rid of Seraphine and throw in +1 like Zyra. Then you could turn her to Prodigy. That would work. Then you have +1 frontline of her plant. Or you could do TF, which is okay, but I prefer Zyra because you get +1 unit on the board. But yeah, in the end, the board should always be 5 Battle Academia and 5 Prodigy. The best fruit you can put on Yuumi would be Bullet Hell, because this allows you to fire more papers. Therefore, you do a lot of true damage with Yuumi. If not, another fruit I would look for is Super Genius. And if you want to know tailored fruits that you can do to guarantee fruits on Yuumi, I normally don't do it just because I don't know which units do it for Yuumi. So I just put whatever fruit on her and just hope for the best kind of thing. For Leona's fruit, I always put Tankzilla or Selfish would be the best on Leona because this allows her to have 10% durability and she heals every time your units do damage. And since Malzahar and Yuumi are going to do consistent damage over time, this means that Leona lasts forever, basically. Other than that, any other tank ones is fine on Leona. If not, if you have 80 items on Kasante, then All Out would be best on him. And in order to tailor this one, just look for any Bastion units like Zhao or any other ones that you're not using. Put the fruit on them, pick whatever, sell that unit, then put the fruit on Kasante till you find All Out. If you can't, remove it, put it back on him, rinse and repeat. The best opener you can play, hands down, is playing a Syndra carry. This unit is so powerful. Probably she is the best AP unit overall for early game because she will just one-shot everything. Since you throw in Rel, you get Star Guardian. Syndra Star Guardian is you gain AP over time, and Rel's is you gain a shield. So these two benefits really well in the early game. And then units you can play to build over time would be Garen, and you can play Ezreal. From here, you could either add extra Star Guardian units, like say for example, Xayah, or you could add +1 Academia unit, so you can have Ezreal, Garen, and Cat do extra damage. If not, it could be Rakan. This is also fine as well. And then they actually go hand to hand pretty well because when you hit level 7, you can probably throw out a Nico, or you could throw out Nico over the Xayah. So over time, they actually synergize really well together. And because I almost forgot, the first item slams I always like to do on Syndra would be Voice Staff always. If not, Jewel Gauntlet is fine for damage, or I build like a Morellicon. These three are my to always build. Main reason why is because you can also pivot into playing Sork. If you're not thinking about playing Yuumi, you can also play Sork with these items. And then Rel can hold on to any tank items you can build. Say for example, Warmongs or Gargoyle Stoneplate. Or if you have to, Sunfire is fine as well. Then that means you don't build Morellicon if you have Sunfire. Because double anti-heal items do not stack. And then once I get to the late game board, I always look for Gunblade after Wolves, because Gunblade is BIS on Yuumi, so your board can last a lot longer. Other than that, that's basically about it for this comp. Next up, we got a comp that we're all familiar with, but for those of you that can't win consistently in this comp, I could break it down. When playing this comp, you always prioritize Voice Staff, no matter what. You have to build this item. If you don't, your board will not do any damage. Second to that, you need some sort of anti-heal, because it's the meta to do. So you build either Morellicon or you build Red Buff, either one's fine. And then for your Karma items, the best one would be Jewel Gauntlet. +1 like Striker is fine, or Death Cap, or whatever you can build. And third item, which is your mana item, you always need Shojin, or you can build Blue Buff, or you can also build Adaptive. These three are great to build. As long as you have something you can make your Karma cast faster, and then Jewel Gauntlet is basically all you need on her. And you may notice a positioning here that Rise is in the front. Main reason why is because when you're playing Strategist, it gives you a shield for your first 2 rows. So that means Gwen gets a shield, and everything up here gets a shield. Since Rise is not a Sork unit, he's basically useless. You just use him for Mentor and Strategist, which is just for synergies. So therefore, putting him as an extra frontline unit helps tank to make your Karma and everyone else last a lot longer. And Ahri, I always like putting her in the middle, just so she can kill the main tank, or at least a strong unit in the middle, so she can delete them immediately. And I always like putting a +1 unit next to Karma, like Lucian for example, just in case if a unit jumps to the back, at least it's like 50-50 between Lucian and Karma. Other than that, the units you can interchange would be, instead of having Gwen, you can put Gwen items on Ahri for a bit until you find Gwen. Then you can use Kennen instead. And same thing with Rise. If you can't find Rise, you can also use Kasante. The reason why is because you get Protector with Kennen. And if you have leftover 80 items, same thing like the Prodigy idea, then you can put, like, for example, Edge of Knight and whatever 80 items you can. Second best would be IE, and his BIS would be Strikers. But sometimes you can't build all these three. Most of the time, you can probably build this, which is fine to do. Then you just put All Out Kasante, put him somewhere around here with Karma, and he would probably one-shot everyone with Karma. And you always want to position something like this as well. If you have this amount of front lines, like 4 front lines, you always want to put more on Karma's side, just so she can last long enough for you to kill everything. And the best positioning for Karma against the enemy is the weak side, because the more units you kill, the more lightning chain that the Sork synergy itself will do. If you put Karma on the main tank, it's going to take forever for her to kill the main tank, and the lightning chain will not happen to kill the backline, or at least do some damage to the backline. But yeah, this board should be strong enough for you to hit level 9 with, and we do hit level 9. Then you could look for Gwen, for example. If you want to keep the Kasante, then just sell the Ahri over the Kennen, so you can still have Protector. But if you don't care about Protector, then you can get rid of Kennen and throw in Ahri. That's fine. And then for your +1 unit, it could be interchanged with Rise as a front line, or you can throw in what I like to do, Zyra, because this gives you a +1 front line, for example, this plant. So you can interchange with whatever you want. If you still have All Out Kasante, you can keep him in. Even without Protector, he's still pretty useful. If not, you can take out Kasante and then just throw in a Bastion unit like Braum, for example. This is what I run in most of my games. My in-game boards are majority of the time like this. If not, sometimes if I hyrule, then I get 2 level 2 Karmas on the board, and whatever leftover AP items I have, I just throw it on Karma. This is fine to do as well. The fruits I like to put on Karma is Efficient, because this makes her cast infinite since it lowers down her mana cost so she can just keep casting over and over. The second fruit I like to put on Karma would be Mage. You're gonna cast twice, but you deal less damage, which is worth it in the long run since technically total overall damage is more. Other than that, if I can find either of those fruits, then I look for whatever AP fruits that I can get. The second fruit you want to put on is either a tank or Gwen. So if you don't have Gwen yet, you can just throw it on a tank and put whatever good tank ones you can. Like for example, Rel 2 would probably be the best overall for tank units, either J4 or Swain, either one's fine. But endgame, you always want to fruit Gwen, and Needlework would be her best. If not, Hemorrhage will be the second best you can put on Gwen. Unless you're playing range Gwen, like say for example, you have like sniper focus on Gwen, then you put her in the back. I like putting her around the middle. So this means that you basically have a higher chance to win now. And this is a really broken item on her. She can hit the whole board having some sort of range item, like Sniper's Focus, Rapid Fire Cannon, or even Fish and Bones. It doesn't matter which one. Either one is good. And if I know I already have range item, then I try to build red buff on Gwen because attack speed is better on Gwen than having a Morellicon. And red buff is basically anti-heal as well. So for that, I always get Hemorrhage if I have range Gwen. For your opener, you can do the Syndra opener where you have Syndra, Rel, Ezreal, and Garen, and then play whatever Star Guardian or Academia units from here. This is actually really good because Syndra is a really good voice staff holder. Same thing like the Yuumi concept, so there's no point in going it over again. But the other opener I like to do as well is Lucian opener, because since he is a Sork already, you can guarantee playing this comp. And I like to throw in Aatrox with GP, since this allows you to gain mech on the board, and you throw in a +1 Sork, like for example Kennen. So you have a lot of frontline here, and you have pretty good damage with Lucian. Sometimes I like to do Kennen with Lucian, and then I throw in a Malphite, and plus whatever I can throw in. Like say for example, I throw in a random Gnar, this is fine to do, or maybe I might throw in a Lux to have 3 swords. So sometimes you cannot play the mech opener, this is fine to do as well, or you can use Aatrox 2 with a Neferi 2, and then Lux, this also works because you get Soul Fighter and you also get Sork still. So basically it's just play whatever you can around Lucian or with Syndra, either one's fine for the opener. But yeah, when playing this board, you basically have to play from a win streaks perspective, and hopefully you can high roll all your units. If not, you can pivot into the Battle Academia / Prodigy Yuumi board. This is fine to do as well if you have to pivot out. Or if you really have to, Star Guardian pivot is okay to get around the top 6 so you don't get at least an A. Finally, our last comp we're going to be talking about here is not GP reroll, but it's Katarina reroll. The reason why I play this comp over GP is because GP is heavily contested. So therefore, you have a higher chance to find Katarina 3, since it's going to be uncontested majority of the games. Unless you're in a lobby that do play it, then just skip this comp, then you can play the other ones. Most of the time, I play this comp if I really can guarantee a Strikers, because Strikers is the most important item on Cat, since it's going to give her lots of damage. Second to that, I need Edge of Night, because if you don't have Edge of Night, or better yet, Zanya's, so this allows her to stay alive even longer. And then third item could be Hodge or Death Cap or whatever. This positioning is pretty important because this allows your Katarina to jump the backline sometimes. So what this does is the enemies will run down this way. Cat walks up here. She attacks the unit, jumps behind that tank, and sometimes will hit the backline. And when she does hit the backline, then she jumps the backline and kill them. So that's why this position is very important. Or you can do it the opposite way. Either one is fine. And you always want to build a voice staff on the board, since you need some sort of magic resist shred on the board. And some sort of anti-heal like Sunfire is fine as well for your tanks. Like you can put that on Leona. That works as well over Morellicon. If not, it has to be a red buff or a Morellicon. So you have to force some sort of debuff stuff on the board in order to win the game. If you have, for example, emblems like Academia, then you can get rid of Rise and you can throw out extra Executioner units like Akali. Or if you have Executioner emblem, then you can throw it on your Yuumi. This works as well. Then you just throw back +1 Academia like Jace. So there's not really too much about this comp. That's basically about it. It's just prioritize your correct items, have a main tank either Leona or Rakan 3, either one is fine, and just put debuff items on Yuumi. Just let Ezreal be the holder until you find Yuumi. Unless you have Rise 2, then I guess you can put items on Rise, that'll be fine as well. Either one's okay. And tip I could say is Caitlyn's useless. I'd rather have Jace for extra frontline over the Caitlyn in the back. For your fruits, I always take Dark Amulet. The reason why is because this heals Katarina for the amount of magic damage she deals, but this also makes her lose some HP for stacking ability power. So over time, if the fight lasts long enough, she will gain enough damage to at least kill everything eventually. If not, she will kill everything before that even happens. So either one is fine. If not, sometimes what I like to do is Trickster. This is okay fruit because this allows her to jump the backline so you get free kills. Or sometimes I take Star Student because this makes it to where her second jump will do extra damage because you gain more potential, which is basically more amp for your synergy, which is the Academia one. So this allows her to do basically extra damage and she gains at least some extra health. So it's okay. Unless I have no lifesteal, then I'll do Crimson Veil because because this one's actually really cracked for Katarina. If you have triple damage items, this is really good. For your opener, most of the time, I never play this comp unless I find a Katarina first. If I don't find Kat, then I don't play this comp. And then from here, you want to build your academia units such as Garen and Ezreal. And the fourth unit is always Executioner. So this is the board I always play at level 4, like no matter what. Then level 5, then I throw in a +1 Bastion. Then level 6, I play whatever I can. Most of the time, I like to roll for 5 Academia because this powers up the Katarina even more. So units like these would help your board a lot. And I just do the default positioning where I have it like this. This is fine because like the end game board, this allows your Katarina to jump around everywhere. Then once we 3-star Katarina and maybe Rakan, it's fine to 3-star Rakan if you want to. Then at level 7, I throw out a +1 Executioner because having another Academia unit is not going to do anything. So I would throw in a Senna and put Ezreal up here. Then level 8, then we play the real board where we have another Academia unit in. And hopefully by then you have Leona too, so she can become the main tank. Unless you have Rakan 3, then he'll be main tank. And instead of Senna, then I look for Yuumi. If you can't find the 7 Academia, you can always throw in Caitlyn if you need to. But most of the time, I don't use her. Unless, like I said, if I can't find Yuumi or Leona, it's fine. Because I forgot, the second unit that I fruit would be either a tank unit, or unless I have Yuumi too, then I fruit the Yuumi no matter what. Just a little side note since I forgot. And that's basically about it for all the comps I played to Diamond. If you have any questions about any of the comps that I've shown, just let me know in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer to the best of my capabilities. Until then, let's listen to my Oshi after then.